Hello, it's Wow Ergonomics with me, Graham Cove, and Stephen Howe. And look, today, for all of you people watching on Spotify,
Yeah,
we're at a concert.
we were. Morning all. Yes, the Killers, supported by the Manic Street Preachers, on Saturday from the Coventry Building Society Stadium, as it was now known. Previously the Rico, or whatever people would know it as.
That's a mouthful, isn't it? The Coventry Building Society Stadium.
Yeah,
Yeah.
CBS it abbreviated to. So yeah, that was Saturday. Really good. Really excellent. Had not been to a concert for probably about 3 or 4 years, so really enjoyed it. So
yeah, did you find, because it was certainly the case with we went to see Ed Sheeran at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff.
yeah.
Was it the case that people really were very excited, if you know what I mean? There were just moments in the crowd where suddenly a section of the crowd just sort of got over giddy.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's just people haven't been for so long, have they? I mean, this one was from May 2020. This was originally, so it would have been booked sometime in 2019. Yeah, I think it's just that sort of build-up, isn't it, Graham, of not being able to go, and then suddenly it just, as you say, there was suddenly one song would just set everybody off, and it was fantastic, really good.
What were the most memorable moments?
Well, I think start on a positive. Obviously, the Killers finishing with Mr. Brightside was obviously a highlight. Where have you gone? He's left me on my own. He'll be back in a minute, I'm sure. Hello. You're on mute. What happened?
I just put you in solo layout for a second.
Oh, did you?
Sorry. I was just waiting for this wonderful, epilogue of what was so great. So I put you in solo layout. Sorry about that.
I thought there were technical issues at your end, so
no.
You should have warned me on that one. So, Mr. Brightside, obviously by the Killers. I think just the overall. Never seen Brandon Flowers perform before. The guy is unbelievable, total showman. He's just on point from the minute he comes on. Owns the stage. He's absolutely amazing. I mean, one of the other things was sort of the graphics, the background was just fantastic. It was just a brilliant show. And then just some of the classics from the Manics, I guess, were just really good to hear them. Again, he's just got a stunning voice, and their performance is just absolutely spot on.
Well, it's a design for life, isn't it?
There you go. Set that one up for you, Graham.
Yeah. No, it's I have to say, when you think about the graphics and stuff at these things, I mean, it's come on so much, and they're such an integral part of these shows now. At Ed Sheeran, I don't know whether you saw from the photos that we posted, but he had a central. He did it in a round, so he had his stage right in the center of the stadium rather than down one end, which allowed him to get higher capacities, which is why he broke the record for the highest capacity ever.
How many were there? I didn't see what was the number.
I don't know. I need to look it up, but apparently they broke the record.
Right.
But the stage is in the center.
Yeah.
And the stage itself he had like a screen that went all the way round, literally, so everyone could see that. And then he had these like something out of Metropolis. You had these kind of posts with like screens going up like that, and at points it like almost like lightning conductor things. It was like vroom, 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 like that, but more wraparound screens all the way around that. And then he had these giant plectrums as well that were hung off the end of that, and they were screens as well. So screens galore. As many screens as you could, how he could afford it these days with the energy crisis, I don't know.
The bit I really liked was really, really simple. And it would have been interesting to get your oldest sort of thoughts on the whole thing, from his sort of background. But it was very simple. A lot of the images of Brandon Flowers were just in black and white. So when the camera was following him round, there was no colour. And again, you end up getting involved in looking at other things. So you can see from the image we had a decent view, but obviously as he was moving up and down the stage or across the front of the stage, the camera was just on some sort of horizontal sort of slider. So as he moved along, it just followed him, and again, having not been to a concert for so long, and that may be something that's been there for a long time, but it was fascinating just to follow how the camera was following him, all the different images, but just simply the fact that they did it in black and white was just really, really, it had a massive impact of just doing it. And then some of the images, there was a couple of cameras behind looking over his shoulders out at the audience. Again, it was, really, really clever, just added to the overall experience.
Well, interestingly, Ed started in black and white. So
okay.
He quite often used black and white or translucent or really technicolors as well at times. But he and so, some of it was clearly, incredibly animated, etc. I mean, when he did Bloodstream, he's like, his head was there looking in pain and like blood and all sorts of things. But it's amazing and real good build up at the start, which was that this circle that was ended up above the stage was lowered down. He obviously came in and they set him up underneath this cover of all of the screen, so you couldn't see him. And then sort of with 5 minutes to go, 5 minutes came up and it counted down, and then 10, 9, 8, fireworks off, and then it slowly lifted as he was playing. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But so you mentioned some ergonomics in that straight away there, which is great for a show like this. Wow, ergonomics, because we're not here to talk about music. That Addy mentioned the other day when he was on live that actually a lot of cameras really quite heavy and actually quite a struggle, and he was asking, is there anything you do? And then you say, look, the robotic element, using robots or whatever to move a camera or get a camera to follow someone on a sort of a line. Well, obviously that really helps. Once upon a time, someone would have had to hold that camera. And
someone would have been probably tripping up over the wire as they were sort of desperately sort of moving down the stage.
Well, think about that. If you think back to concerts like Live Aid, etc., you could actually see, right at the front, just behind the monitors, there were cameramen sort of, sitting like that, trying to keep out of view of the audience, right? But trying to get the best shots. I mean, that must have been incredibly uncomfortable,
Yeah,
I wonder how many cameramen from that period are like,
frozen shoulder or things like that, or early Tech Neck or some sort of derivative of.
Very definitely. Now, one of the things I do want to talk to you about today, from the ergonomics point of view, is that seen a spate of it on social media again recently. A whole load of new tech coming out, or tech accessories coming out, but they've completely forgotten the ergonomics. And there was one over the weekend that I particularly want to center on, which was some guy put an image up, or it was a little video up of this new bit of tech. Now I can see where it's going from. And immediately, loads of people were going, "Oh, that's brilliant! I need that. I really need that." I'll tell you what it was. It's a device that you slot in behind your laptop screen. And then it extends out to the side, so it gives you 3 screens in effect. So you've got screen either side of your laptop screen. So you've then got 3 screens. Brilliant. But that means you've got 3 screens that are all down there.
It multiplies the problem by 3, doesn't it?
Oh, look, Richard's watching. A cameraman working for me tripped over a camera lead and it fell into the lake. Whoops, daisy. Very. Dear, oh dear. And no, do you know what? All of that, all 3 of us were, oh dear, and we were all thinking about the camera. But the poor guy might have drowned.
Please confirm, Richard. Please confirm he didn't, just so we
please
put our minds at rest.
But no one cares whether we broke a leg or anything. So make sure that the camera's okay. But yeah, this device, and I've seen 2 or 3 of these lately.
Right.
It's it strikes me as really odd, because what you're trying to do there is it's trying to say as well that if you've got a laptop, and you need that amount of screens, that you need a portable solution for multiple screens.
Yeah.
But
no.
Yeah. Thoughts on that?
Missing the trick, really. I see it. Is it one of these things? It's a bit gimmicky. Look how you can turn your laptop into multiple screens. If you're working off multiple screens, you need. Sorry, I got distracted.
Just good swim.
We all feel a little better. If you're using multiple screens, you really need something that involves, separate monitors and monitor arms for that correct ergonomic setup. I guess I can, like you said, I can see where they're sort of coming from. I don't think it's really actually sort of addressing the issue. A laptop, as you say, is absolutely fine. Is this sort of, and is the link between, the screen, if that's how you're working, but just adding things onto it is just sort of making the problem worse. So I like the idea, but I think if someone needs multiple screens with a laptop, they need to get involved in docking stations and monitor arms and those sort of things. So it's not really addressing the issue from my perspective. What do you think? Are you with a similar?
Well, yeah, I'm of a similar train of thought, because for several reasons, and here's my reasons for anyone watching that's thinking about buying a similar solution to that. Was
it like a major brand one, Graham? Sorry, was it like one of the big tech companies, or did it look like it was sort of someone had gone off at a tangent and had built something?
No, it wasn't a major brand, so
right, okay.
it was a little bit different. But what my view is on this is that, 2 things. One is, if you need that extra screen space, etc., that kind of size of laptop screen probably isn't going to help anyway, because really. Yeah, it's the visual aspect of it. I mean, I think people forget that it's not only about your posture in terms of your head and your neck and everything else. We've got to think about people's eyesight. People are staring at screens far too long in the day anyway. One of the things that if you need it because you're doing figures over there and something else over here, and it's all about size of data, etc., you need a bigger screen just to actually help your eyes as much as anything else. So, for me, I think it's just wrong on a lot of levels, and clearly people are just, that is a very dangerous invention as far as I'm concerned. What it does is it says, you've got a laptop, it's not a desktop, let's turn it into a desktop.
Yeah.
But actually, don't worry, it's still portable, it's a laptop. But again, it's yet another bit of kit to carry, but it's not an ergonomic bit of kit to carry. So actually, how many people are going to buy that and put that in their bag and take that out with their laptop, as opposed to buying a laptop stand and a separate keyboard and mouse? I mean, to me, it just, gets everything.
It's interesting. Wrong. It's interesting the point you raised there about sort of the eyes and the visual piece, because I've noticed it recently. Graham wishes, because you'd be in Portugal if it was Wednesday, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. That's why we're doing it today.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I've noticed a lot recently, having got a bit out and about a bit more. And I know it's very obvious, but the difference between sitting with the monitor at home and the laptop, I don't ever remember, having got used to using a monitor screen, 23, 24-inch screen, I forgot how small the print is on an actual laptop. Even when you sort of change the font, I still find it particularly difficult to work with. So again, it's trying to focus on people on the right piece of equipment, not the gimmicky piece. If you're needing multiple screens, a laptop with a couple of sort of snapped on screens is not the right solution, as you say. But I think it makes a massive difference, and you do just find yourself coming forward, getting to the screen. And as you say, if you're using with lots of data, lots of numbers, absolutely no. It's nice idea. Not really from an ergonomic. It's a big from an ergonomic perspective, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's find out whether you were telling the truth about that or whether you were lying. By by bringing in the expert. Okay, I don't know whether you've ever met Darren before. Stephen,
Yeah,
meet
Stephen.
Darren.
Hi, Darren.
Darren, meet
Remember,
Stephen.
excuse me, it's a green screen.
There you go. Darren is known for being able to read people, Stephen.
Okay.
Darren, tell us some of the things you've been up to lately.
Okay, so I mean, obviously my background's sort of psychology, and I was in the police for quite a long time, Stephen. But I do, it's kind of three main strands to what I do. Is so mostly work on telly, so I'm assessing like politicians, celebrities, public figures, a lot of royalty stuff, Johnny Depp, because a lot of news outlets now they want the kind of lowdown on, you know, were they being honest or truthful or credible, or what do they mean when they switch their nose? So there's all that kind of frothy media stuff. And then do a lot of public speaking. That's kind of cranked back up again now. So I do that sort of all over the shop. And basically the other thing I do is sort of consultancy. So I'll work with HR people. So 1 in 5 really higher paying jobs, they want to minimize the risk of a back hire. So for example, I'll either sit in as an observer or I will teach HR people how to spot. So when we're looking for people that are lying, it's not really lies per se. We're looking for shifts in emotion. So I teach people to have a higher degree of what we call sensory acuity to spot shifts in emotion. So when I ask somebody about that part of their CV and they had certain tells and gestures, was it the fact that they'd not even worked there, or they lied about that job, or was it the fact that something else was going on in their life? You know, they might have been victim of abuse, or they might have, you know, had a bereavement. So that's the kind of 3 main areas. But essentially, most of the work I do is sort of you know, on the telly. So the main things I'm doing right now is I'm just about to shoot a thing for telly called Secrets of the Interrogation Room. So I'm going to get my jump leads out. You know, there's 2 American cops, and we're analysing some of the most notorious.
As a hitman got to him who was about to reveal the
he was
2
just
notorious criminals. They've got to him and sorted him out.
So if you haven't seen Darren's stuff before, I mean, hopefully he might come back to us in a minute. If you haven't seen Darren's stuff before, he's just changed his profile picture on LinkedIn, by the way. He's standing there with Philip Schofield and Amanda Holden from TV. But yeah, he's got a lot busier lately because for some reason there seems to be a real interest in terms of whether certain, you know, celebrity stroke political figures have been lying or not.
Oh, right. Okay.
You know, and you know, it could be that a party went on, or maybe it didn't.
What happened?
Oh, he's back. Hi, Darren.
Well, we thought you'd been you know, assassinated because you were about to tell us something that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So crime is a big one as well. So because of my background and stuff, people love to kind of, you know, they're very much into the crime genre. So I've been using a couple of things. One is this new show which is coming out probably September-ish, and that's all around how psychology helps sort of law enforcement catch killers, you know. And then I've already got like a UK tour myself at the moment where I have an interactive evening of serial killers and murderers where I teach the audience, you know, like with Huntley, you know, Ian Huntley, for example, or Phil Potts, some of the most famous British killers. We'll look at the way that they conducted themselves in press conferences and things like that. And then the other thing, which I don't know if you're aware of, there's a brand new show coming out on Channel 4, which is probably the biggest thing they've done. And it's called Make Me Prime Minister.
No, tell us about it.
It's been hosted by Alastair Campbell. And basically, it's like, think about The Apprentice crossed with Yes Minister. So they've got 10 candidates. And then each one's going to go through a process like The Apprentice. So, for example, they might say, right, Stephen, you're Prime Minister. We've got this meltdown in the Middle East. You've got to give a press conference, but we don't want you to be dragged down this particular narrative. We want you to stick to this. So then you'll face a press pack of trained actors who are then going to basically grill you. And then my involvement is going to be, right, Stephen, don't say that. Don't stand like that. Don't make that gesture because it makes you look dodgy. Say this, look like that, stand like this. So that's my involvement in it. So we start shooting that in July, and that's going to be on Channel 4.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
So if you Google it, you'll see a press release. But that's quite exciting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very much so. Now, listen, Darren, one of the things that I need to ask you, and perhaps you might not have been watching this, so you may not have a steer on this, but we'd love you to have a little steer on this. We've noticed over the last 12 months or whatever, this whole thing around hybrid work. There seems to be a group of people who are coming out and trying to get people back to the office away from home working. But we want to know what it is that's motivating them, because we'd love to know whether it's really money or whether they genuinely want people back to the office.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it. I could say some of the people you've probably picked up on, Darren. We've noticed from Jacob Rees-Mogg. We've seen Lord Sugar.
I don't think
Boris
it's
Johnson.
so much money. So if I'm talking over you, it's feedback in a little bit. I think there's an ulterior motive to get.
Oh, I've lost him again.
Just at the wrong or the right time, whatever your
do you know what it is? It's definitely those people have got an ulterior motive, and they don't want us to know.
Oh, we have to stick with him and wait for him to come back, because it'd be fascinating to see what he's taken.
We'll take him off the stream for a minute, and hopefully he will come back. But he's obviously noticed something.
Yeah. Loads of good comments coming in as well, Graham. I think maybe we can have a look through some of them.
Yeah, but let's have a look at some of the comments while we're waiting for Darren to come back. We've got Scott. I think first time to the show. Would have lots of fun with my setup day to day. We want to see that setup, Scott. You've got to come on the show sometime, and we want to see that setup. Mike,
we can put that right.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, man. Well said. Absolutely, you don't know what you don't know. It's true. Blimey, a human lie detector, says Richard. I'll keep my head down. Yeah. MI5 have intervened, he also says as well. So yeah, there we go.
I noticed actually, Graham, if you go back, that was the comment I noticed from Peter actually.
Yeah, the extra keyboard you need for ergonomics with a laptop puts the screen too far away. Yeah, interesting. Well, it does, unless you've used the right kind of laptop riser, which actually then brings it forward again.
But it could be also as well, I find, Graham, what people do is they put the extra keyboard too far away from the edge of the desk, which then naturally pushes the laptop further away. I mean, I think you'd have your thoughts from doing assessments, but I've always thought of it as about 7 to 8 centimeters is where the keyboard goes from the edge of the desk, where some people are pushing it a lot further forward. It puts the screen further away. So would you say the keyboard 6, 7, 8 centimeters away from the edge of the desk, about right?
Do you know, there's so many different theories on it, but I actually think that typically people like to put their keyboard far too far ahead of them, and it's because they want to like rest their arms very much so on the desk itself. You know, one of the things is actually, if you think about it, to try and get a more open posture, if you think about where your posture is, if your keyboard is too far forward on the desk, then your shoulders will naturally gravitate forwards anyway. And that's what will start you into that kind of slouch. Whereas really, if you get your core right first, right, sit on the edge of your chair, folks. Let's try this. You can do this without even the backrest. Sit up a little, put your chair a little bit higher, sit up, and actually bring your shoulders back. Now, if your shoulders are relaxing into a more open chest posture, etc., now see where your arms sit. Your hands will probably be right towards the edge of the desk. They're not over there. As soon as we push everything further forward on the desk, your whole posture goes into this.
You sort of lean into the desk there.
And we all develop this posture. Hey, he's back. He's back. Yes.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Full signal, so I'm not quite sure what's going on here.
There we go. Well, we don't have the production value of Channel 5. Yes, we do. We don't have the money that Channel 4 have. That's what it is.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear you. Oh, mobile phones, folks. If you have them, they're wonderful. But when they don't work, there you go. You know, I
We'll,
wonder where
we'll
he
try.
is today.
We'll try
Probably
Peter again.
We'll try
Darren,
again.
sorry.
We'll try Darren again in a minute. Hopefully, we will manage to get him back. But there you go. Interesting sounding show as well about being a prime minister. Being the prime minister, he's working on some great stuff at the moment. That's why I thought I'd try and get him on the show to talk about it.
Some people maybe sort of query Alistair Campbell as sort of the political expert who would be on there. He's, I think he would be quite divisive in terms of public opinion, wouldn't he? Really? So
yeah, absolutely. Peter's saying, by the way, on the keyboard thing, mine's about 15. I guess that's like 15 centimeters.
Too far.
That's too
bring
far
it towards
forward.
you, half the distance. Bring it towards the edge, and then that
True.
naturally then brings the screen further forward, doesn't it?
And let's pick this one up. Richard says, I was the police press conference when road rage killer Tracy Andrews effectively contracted her story and got caught for killing her boyfriend. Hard to maintain a lie under extreme pressure. Hey, yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Darren saying might have to reschedule. I say, well, sure.
Yeah, we'll get him back next time. So
yeah. There we are. I'm just typing to Darren. It was nice to see him, though. Nice to see you.
Have we seen Darren before? Was he one of your other events that we did going back a while? Darren wasn't involved in a networking event.
Darren was at a live networking event. Yeah, absolutely. So there we go. Scott, if you're listening, by the way, I'd love to send you StreamYard to get you on this in a minute, so we can have a look at your setup. That
absolutely
would be fantastic. In fact, I'm going to do that whilst Stephen sings a song to us all. No, I mean,
don't do that. Don't do that to us all.
Surely you've picked one up from the weekend whilst you were at the concert, yeah?
Yeah, but the thing is, when there's 60,000 other people singing, your sort of voice is drowned out, isn't it? Where if it was then on its own, it would, not what we want to hear, Graham.
It's interesting you say that because Ed Sheeran made a whole point of that at his concert.
Okay.
Which I thought was really, really good. As he got towards the end, he said, now, in this next song, I just want you all to sing as loudly as possible. He said, he's going to try it. Darren is going to try once more.
Okay.
Here he is. He's back. Yay! We'll keep you. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Can you hear us? No. Oh, it's that signal just can't do it.
No.
There we go. So back to the story with Ed Sheeran. So if it's a little bit in and out today, folks, if you're listening, but it's just the fact that, we are trying to get Darren back into the show. He said, I want you to sing as loudly as possible. And he said, right, you don't understand. At this point, it's my job to sing nicely and in tune.
Yes.
Right. It's your job to lose your voice. Right? It's your job. Doesn't matter if it's out of tune. It just needs to be loud. If it's loud, then it's great. He said, from where I'm standing, all I hear is a noise. Right? And actually, I won't hear any. The truth is, he wouldn't hear anything because he's got in ears, so he will only hear the band and himself, right? But he will hear volume outside. He won't hear Mabel over there singing out of tune, etc. But for the person that's singing on the stage, the key thing for them is the atmosphere. It's feeling that all of those people are coming back at them with that. So and people did. They really sang their hearts out.
Who was the support act, Graham? Who was with him?
Two support acts on the day. A young lady called Dylan, who I had not heard or seen of before, from Australia.
Okay. Any good?
She was okay, actually. Clearly something to do with Ed Sheeran in some shape or form.
Okay.
Whether he's written a song with her or whatever. And then Maisie Peters, who very definitely is something to do with Ed Sheeran because she's on his record label. Yeah. And he has co-written songs with her as well. So, keeping it in the coffers. I mean, the family, as it were, on the day, and making sure that, I mean, he's actually got a little band with him now. He doesn't use them throughout the whole set. He uses them on the songs where it suits having a band, as opposed to just him and his loop station. But he clearly, over the years, he's kept his he's kept his costs down by doing it all himself with a loop station. And I love the fact that he actually still has to prove to people that it's him doing it live and that it's not just a recording. He actually does a bit towards the beginning.
He ain't no Milli Vanilli.
No, he does a bit at the beginning where he goes, "This is a loop station. This is how it works. Right? I hit this on the guitar, and this records it, and it loops it. Look, watch this." Oh dear, because he had that last time he went out on tour. Some people said, "Oh, it's not live; it's just played off of a." Really?
Yeah. I don't think so.
No. These people are that talented. Yeah. You're just jealous. There you go. Have you? So in terms of other ergonomics products and stuff coming out, have you seen anything new lately? You went to Clerkenwell Design Week. I said you might see something there. What did you see?
I mean, it was really firstly, it was really interesting. I'd not been to Clerkenwell Design Week because obviously for the last couple of years it's been cancelled. So it was really, really interesting to see what was going on, particularly from the sort of the furniture side. I guess ergonomics, maybe not. I guess more from the furniture side. Interesting to see a lot of the sustainability that's coming through. So that was quite a common theme. Was around sustainability in the manufacture of furniture. So that was really something that sort of industry sort of really grabbed onto, and talking about what their chairs are made from and the whole piece around that. What did I see? I didn't see any of the moss dividers that we've spoken about in the past, but I did see some that were artificial moss, grass, flower dividers. So they were still very, very prevalent there.
Okay, so maybe that's moved on to the thought there is that we need to see greenery from a psychological point of view, but actually having stuff growing in an office where, unless you've got a contract with someone that's actually going to come in each day and prune it and look after it and water it and whatever, is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. The one thing there was a lot of, so we bumped into one of our sort of partners who we work with from Ireland, and I said, "Oh, how have you found it so far?" And they said, "Booths. And by that, obviously, though, they mean those sort of small privacy booths. And they were right. There was a little section with lots of smaller vendors exhibiting, and there were a lot of booths. That was particularly popular, was creating those sort of silent, quiet areas for people to work. So again, whether that's a way of encouraging people back into the office, is that actually come in, but you will have an area where if you do want that quiet that you're used to when working from home, we can sort of replicate it. So that was very, very popular, was sort of whether it was enclosed booths or whether sort of ones, almost all the way around with sort of doors, or sort of less formal ones, more sort of booth type seating as well, creating those sort of small areas, collaborative areas. So that was very, very popular as a theme. Not maybe sort of tied into the sort of things that we do from an accessory perspective, but trying to sort of change the whole layout of the office to encourage people back in.
So that's interesting. And it's interesting from 2 points of view. One is that, because these booths have been around a while, but it clearly seems that perhaps offices are getting more redesigned so that they are more less desk focused maybe, and that the sort of more creative breakout areas are the way to go. That's interesting. But I was going to ask you, was there much talk around sort of cleaning or anything like that of products and surfaces or whatever? Because if we'd have gone back to the middle of the pandemic, right, everybody was acrylic screens or with yourselves pet felt screens or whatever, and keeping people apart, and then a lot of the conversation was around avoiding cross contamination and keeping surfaces clean, and yet when as soon as you were talking there about booze, I was thinking, well, that's great, but So someone goes off and has a little meeting for 15 minutes in a booth, etc. But, you know, who cleans that? Oh,
Yeah.
or, you know, is it now just deemed safe that, you know, if multiple people use those surfaces throughout the day, that it's fine, or you know, is there a packet of wet wipes on the side and you have to clean it yourself? I don't know. I mean,
it was if COVID had never happened.
right.
There were probably, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a number here, maybe 4 or 5% of people you saw had masks, possibly a bit less. The odd gel station for your hands. Apart from that, there was no, you know, it was if it had never happened. It didn't seem to form any sort of consideration, and that was one of the things that I thought about, like you just picked on there, Graham, is these booths creating that small enclosed area. A couple of people I was talking to, what they thought about the whole booth thing was one of the reasons people are not coming back to the office is they're struggling with the noise. I think we've touched on this in the past, but actually struggling with the noise of when they come back into the office. So create, again, as another encouraging factor, was creating those booths that actually we can give you that nice quiet environment you've enjoyed to get you back in the office. So that seemed to be one of the angles to draw people back in, whether that's something that employers, when they've reached out to their employees to say, okay, what do we need to get you back in the office? Maybe the booths has been one of the common requests, and therefore that's why it's so popular. But certainly from a COVID cleaning perspective, I didn't see anything. It was, as I say, it was apart from a few masks that you saw, it was if it was off the radar and it had never happened, which, you know, obviously it hasn't, but it was never a topic or conversational theme in anything that I particularly saw.
And yet, talking to a workplace assessor friend the other day, what I was getting back was that a lot of the companies now are talking about when they've always maybe had a clean desk policy, but a clean desk policy before meant that certain stuff was left on the desk, and then, you know, at night your personal bits went away. But actually, a lot of companies are now, by a clean desk policy, are now saying absolutely nothing is being left on the desk. So it's kind of strange, really, because there must be an undertone in where the clients are actually worrying about, you know, this cross contamination, etc. But it doesn't seem to have hit the design well, particularly that they're not necessarily considering that aspect of it. And Peter's saying there, you know, he's doing a website at the moment for an office cleaning company in Sydney. Healthy clean office, healthy mind. I mean, you know, I mean, it's just there's it doesn't correlate completely, and I wonder whether some of this is some of the reasons why some people are actually struggling to get people back to the offices, because they're not necessarily lining up the dots all the way through this. Richard's saying, if a home working employer has badly adjusted screen and gets sore neck, is the employer still responsible from a health and safety perspective? Yes.
Yep. As of the updated HSE regs that came out in December. So just going back on something we've touched on before, is that during COVID, sort of home working was deemed a temporary fix, and therefore the regulations didn't apply. But as of December last year, companies are responsible for their home and hybrid workers. So yes, absolutely, Richard, they would be responsible for that, and they should be carrying out a DSE assessment or whatever process they would go to make sure they are looking at how their people are working from home. So yeah, absolutely. Sort of, there was a big pause for sort of 18 or 20 months with COVID, but obviously that's now been superseded. And on cue, Mr. Barlow delivers us the link.
Lovely, thank you very much, Chris. So there you go, Richard. Have a look at the link that Chris has just put in the comments there. That takes you straight to the right point. Yes. So
I think with that thing, though, Graham, is a lot of people sort of in the industry. You know, we've discussed it, and I've spoke to a lot of the people. I know Guy Osmond particularly has flagged has flagged up those sort of those updated regulations quite a bit through his organisation. But it's amazing how it just seems to be confined within our little world. It doesn't seem to have got out there, and I'm still not hearing about organisations really changing how they've assessed people? So again, are they still looking at it from a cash perspective? Are they just blissfully unaware? Who knows? Maybe they have other things going on, but I do feel as if it hasn't got out to the wider sort of commercial world.
Oh, this is interesting. Peter giving us a more global view on it. They are same in Australia. He's been doing work for Apple for 3 months. They are, and had to take photos for an online assessment.
Okay.
There you go. Interesting. Thank you very much for offering that. Prior to COVID, if an incident happened at home where there was deemed negligent, they would still be responsible. Absolutely. That is true. I mean, it's always been the case, really, that, you know, if you think about it, companies should have been proactive, and a lot of bigger companies, to be fair, were proactive and were doing workstation assessments for their people at home. A lot of others, though, clearly weren't. And, you know, as an assessor at the time, you know, when COVID started, etc., you know, the amount of people that I saw that clearly couldn't work from home safely because they couldn't even swing a cat in wherever they were working. Hard to police, though, surely. Yeah, incredibly hard to police, and it's one of the reasons that this will happen eventually, I think, in this country. I think we've just become more litigious. We've become more like America, to be honest. You know, it's if you're going to leave it down to the HSE to you know, you're going to expect an inspector coming around everybody's house to see whether or not, you know, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. You know, all they can do is put the guidance out there, the legislation out there. You know, they may investigate certain companies, etc. But the likelihood is, and the reason that, and this is where people are going to get caught out, is when someone sees you.
Yeah,
you know, it's a lot of companies won't do it at the moment because a lot of companies know that Joe public don't know this stuff.
And also,
it
comes down to a bit of green as well, doesn't it? There's a real reluctance for companies to invest. And I think I've said on this show before, when I've gone to shows and shown some of our product to people outside the industry, the first question is, how much does it cost? Not what value does that bring? Not what benefit does it bring my employee? How much does it cost? And I still think we have that mentality in the UK in particular.
I'm loving the comments this morning. Keep on this conversation because it's great chat. You know, Peter's saying Apple is right on top of it with their at-home advisor program.
Okay.
That's it. Companies like that are going to be productive, you know, proactive with this because they realise the value in having their people served well at home. You know, if you're not looking into the ergonomics of your workers at home, how are they going to be productive? How are they going to, you know, give you the extra mile when they're not sitting comfortably all day long, you know? And it's also important, this will interest someone like Richard, because we were talking on our show on Friday, which is all about marketing, etc. It's also important for brand. Think about that, businesses, if you're not doing it from the ergonomics perspective, think about it for brand. If your member of staff is on a Zoom call to somebody else or comes on a live with us and they're sitting there and they look like they're uncomfortable, you haven't made provision for them, etc., and they're moaning throughout, oh yeah, well, got a bad back, you know, that's affecting your brand. That's telling other people from other companies they don't get provision. That's another reason why it's gonna happen eventually.
Graham, we've seen it as well when I've seen, you know, we've both clocked it when certain guests have come on, and I can't think of anyone specifically, but over the number of, you know, months we've been running this or weeks we've been running the show, you can instantly see by how are they on the screen, and you know, the person with the laptop that, you know, that you can see them, and you instantly, you know, you can see, and I can clock you seeing it as well, and we're going, they need this, they need that, you know, you can just see it immediately, can't you? And as you say, it's, I think time back to how is, I think it was Richard said the comment about how is it policed by the HSE. I think the policing bit is irrelevant. As an employer, you shouldn't be doing something just because you might get caught out. You should be doing it because it's the right thing to do. and it's the right thing for you to do to your employer. Okay, there is no, you are not going to get the HSE going around to Joe Blogg's house and checking it out. Highly unlikely to happen. But actually, Joe Blogs does still need that equipment to work productively. So yes, you're not going to get caught out, but you should still be doing it.
Yeah, and bring it back to the other conversations that we've had throughout the pandemic as well. The Great Resignation, for example. You know, one of the reasons someone is going to leave your business is because you're not looking after them. You know, if again, you know, there's more to life than just the money that you're earning. You know, if your employer is looking after you from a lifestyle perspective as well, ensuring that you've got flexibility in the way that you work, you're comfortable in the way that you work, all of those things, then it's far more likely that you're going to, you know, you're going to enjoy working for them, and it's far more likely you're going to stay with them as well. So this, you know, there's part of this is a retention thing as well. You know, there's so many, when companies go, we can't afford to do this, you can't afford not to do it.
Yeah.
There's so many tick boxes, or there's so many different channels in which you could say, right, it could come out of this budget, that budget, that budget. It shouldn't be necessarily, and this is where it's gone wrong over the years, shouldn't necessarily be left to a health and safety budget.
Yeah.
Because actually, if you go to a health and safety budget, there will be much, much bigger things that will potentially be on your mind in terms of health and safety. And it always went back down to things like, is there a ramp into the building? Is there a disabled lift or whatever, you know, in the office, etc. All of those major, big capital expenses. But now you've actually got to start to think, well, no, this comes out of lots of different things. It could come out of marketing budget, as I say, to keep you on brand. It could still come out of health and safety. It could come out of, well, there we go. All different things. What have we got here? The way we approached the posture issue was to book a personal trainer to run some online exercise sessions for us, stretches, etc. You can do from your home office desk. Totally good way of doing it. But you've also got to make sure alongside that as well, Richard, that people have got the equipment or the accessories or whatever that they need in order to do it. And also, I'd have to say, posture training, ergonomic training, any kind of training like that is good, but you do also have to look at the situation that people are in.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because you know, two people within your organization could be in completely different worlds there. One could be, and I've seen this going out and about doing assessments in homes, right? Literally for the same organization, when I used to go and visit people in their homes, one day I went to someone in North London, Tottenham. I went to someone in North London in a little flat, mold up the wall, working out of one room in their house. Literally no room the bed is in the room. There's no room for a desk, no room for anything else. They literally cook off a little stove in the corner. It's you know, the only thing that they would really be able to do in that place is sleep, right? In the afternoon, I went to someone else from the same organization, house on the edge of Richmond, enough parking space for 12 cars outside, and they had them as well. Different level in the organization, I have to say. Really, you know, but massive, great home office, all the whistles and bells, everything, plenty of space. You've got to know your people and where they're coming from, especially now that your people are potentially spread out and are working from their homes. You can't not be interested in their lives anymore. You have to know that stuff.
Great comment from, I was going to say, Pete has made a couple of really good comments that you're going to highlight.
Prevention
Absolutely.
is ultimately
don't do something when someone complains of the issue. Do it beforehand to stop the issue, you know, developing and occurring.
And that's a great one as well. I had an ulnar nerve surgery from the elbow on my desk for too many years. It's amazing how you can get injured at work from desktop. I've told the story several times in the past. I'll tell it very quickly again. I wrote a piece once, a piece called 30 Years or 30 Seconds. And literally, I found two people with exactly the same injuries. One had had a major motor car collision. And the other person had just been working in an office for 30 years.
Yeah.
And yet, physiologically, they now had the same issues. Think about that, folks. It's not just a case of, got a bit of a twinge. Yeah. Over time, a twinge can become a real disorder. Your spine can get curved. It can become out of alignment. You can develop through that as well, you could develop arthritis or other, get other conditions within your spine. It could actually stop you working, right? It's not as simple as, a little bit stiff today.
Yeah.
Fine. That's how it starts. When we're all 19 and we first start out doing, whatever. And I've been to offices where it's like that. And it's that 19-year-old lads are the hardest people to convince about ergonomics, right? Been to, plenty of call centers, wherever, and it's like team of young lads, and they're all like, yeah, well, don't affect me, does it? I sit like that all day long, and it won't bother me. And I just say to them, do you like sex? And they say, well, yeah. And you say, right, we carry on like that, and you won't be having sex at 30. Right, I'm going to sit up now then. Got to tell people the truth. Got to tell them that, their life could be completely changed. Holy smokes. Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah. I felt a little bit stiff before things went south for me. There you go.
Absolutely.
So there we had a great discussion there today with lots of people. Thanks for all of your...
and we do need to see Scott at some point, maybe for the next show. If Scott could send us through some images of his desk setup, and then we could maybe get him on.
We'd love to get him on to the show, because Scott talks about inclusion, diversity. Would love to get his comments on the show about what he's up to as well. So that would be good. But we started off talking about music today.
Yeah,
we ended up on a deep dive discussion into ergonomics, which is fantastic. And
brilliant.
And, do you see how we did that? You didn't even notice it was coming, folks. Do
you not think that, Graham? It's really interesting is that this show's been going for a couple of years now. Maybe not 18 months, something like that. And we're still talking about the same sort of things, aren't we? That people, and it's great that there's still the live debate there. We have lots of regulars, we have lots of new people who drop in, but the debate and the discussion's still there and still really relevant, because it's still not happening. And people are still, in all the time we've talked about how you can address some of the issues of your employees. It's amazing how people still aren't doing anything.
Some people may listen to this show and think, those guys say the same thing over and over again. And to some extent we do, although we like to wrap it up or bandage it up in a slightly different paper every time. It's a bit like, it's a bit like your favorite ice cream, but just with a hint of different flavor on the top. But ultimately, no, it's true. It's sad in a way. It would be really nice if we could actually get to a day where we ran the show like this and go, do you know what? The revolution's come, and it's here. That people have actually started paying attention to the way that they're working. But no, sadly, I fear that we'll probably be here for all of time.
Yeah,
saying the same thing. But the important thing is, we have to do that. We have to do that because, unfortunately, people don't necessarily listen. And it goes right back to what I was saying near the beginning about that new device that's come out, right? Where even is the kind of guidance that maybe a new device like that should be going through in terms of coming to market? There's clearly nothing in place that actually goes, well, that's great as a product, but you can't actually bring that to market as it is, because actually that's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
It's almost as though, or there must have been a whole group of people that looked at that as a product, that gave feedback on it as a product, and none of them gave any evidence to go, well, you should be thinking about this.
Yeah.
This is why, and I think this is a really important fact. If you're a major organization, what's Chris saying, by the way, makes it a change, you two talking about ergonomics for a full show, doesn't it? Just, it's good.
Yeah.
But if you're a major organization and you're designing something, please, if it's people centered, can you get an ergonomist involved in the design? I just think it's where a lot of organizations go wrong.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the ergonomists out there that offer, for example, not an office design service, but they will work with your office design team. And I think that's crucial. Having started off life as someone that could do CAD drawings, and I've built loads of areas in offices with CAD design, etc. One of the things that I saw time and time again was there's loads of people that can actually do interior design and design great spaces and make spaces look great. And over the years, I've been involved in so many conversations where with a company where someone's gone, so how many people can we squeeze into that space?
Yeah.
Right. It's all about the cost of space, etc. You need to have people involved in that process that will change the dynamic of that conversation and go, well, actually, it's not about squeezing as many people as possible into that space. Maybe this design shouldn't even go ahead and happen if that's your main objective here.
Yeah.
Right. And we're on the cusp of a great opportunity here for businesses that are at the point where their office space was getting to saturation. Maybe this is the point of thinking about change. Can you use your office space that you've got more effectively? Does it have to have a room for every single person in it? Or can you actually divide out your workforce? Can you have people working at home some of the time, and when they're working from home, catered for properly, etc., and then make the office space a little bit more creative, a little bit more energetic, a little bit more infused? Change that up, right? Because I tell you what, buying bigger premises, more office space is that the cost of that compared with helping your employees to be comfortable at home, the two things don't equate.
Yeah, agree.
So that is the big opportunity that's there now for a lot of businesses. Don't necessarily go for the bigger real estate all of the time. Just be more creative and get an ergonomist involved, because that's there you are. I've had my rant.
There you go. Get off your soapbox.
Get off my soapbox.
Yeah,
I love that. That's my favorite comment of all time. I'm almost going to take. Do you know what? I'm going to take a screenshot of that while we're here. Chris saying makes a change. You two talking about, okay, that's a poster for forever and a day. That one.
Yeah. We need to get Chris on, because Chris is one of our regular followers and viewers, and it'd be really interesting. Maybe we could try and get him on in conjunction with Scott, and we could get Chris to sort of do a little sort of virtual assessment on Scott's setup. We could put Chris under the microscope, couldn't we? There and test his skills.
Could we do that, please, Chris? That would be good. So, thanks to everyone that's been listening today. Thanks for Darren for trying to come on.
Yeah,
I'm so intrigued now.
We've got to get him back.
Intrigued. We're going to have to get Darren back. We'll sort that out. We will.
Yeah.
We'll get Darren back another week to tell us what he really thinks these people are thinking about, trying to get us back to the office. Maybe we'll even try and find an interview with one of those people.
Oh, yes.
Right. Upload it and then get him to watch it and tell us what the body language and everything. That would be great. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Thanks to everyone that's been watching, Peter, Scott, Chris, Richard. Really great conversation.
Cheers, guys.
So many comments today. It's been fantastic. Thanks to
fabulous.
Stephen for coming here. Hope you have a good week. We will be back towards the middle
Thursday the 9th. So we've got a little sort of 10-day break, haven't we, before we're back? So
yeah. So enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Keep stretching. Bye for now.